Have you noticed that, in many people's eyes, anyone who enjoys staying home is quickly labeled as boring, lazy, or antisocial? Decline a few invitations, and suddenly you're seen as someone who avoids people altogether. But the truth is, most homebodies don't hate socializing. They just don't want to waste energy on interactions that feel unnecessary. Society tends to glorify busyness, noise, and extroversion. So anyone who chooses stillness automatically becomes abnormal. But staying home doesn't mean you're not living. Sometimes it's how you slow down so you don't lose yourself in the process. Not everyone recharges in the same way. Extroverts feel energized when they're surrounded by people. The bigger the crowd, the more battery they seem to have. But for introverts, or those who prefer quiet, every conversation and every social gathering, even enjoyable ones, gradually drains energy. Afterward, they need a place to recover, and that place is home. Psychology refers to this as the theory of optimal stimulation levels. Some people need a lot of stimulation to feel okay, while others need very little. This has nothing to do with how good you are at socializing. It's about how your nervous system responds to its environment. When overwhelmed by noise, constant interaction, and social cues, the brain naturally wants to retreat. So staying home isn't about avoiding society. It's the body's way of self-regulating and returning to balance. The outside world is unpredictable. Noise, changing schedules, small talk you have to pretend to care about. At home, everything is within your control. You choose the lighting, the sounds, when to speak, and when to stay silent. For many people, especially those who are anxious or highly sensitive, this sense of control isn't a luxury, it's a feeling of safety. At home, they don't have to play any role. No performing, no fitting in, no proving anything. And it's only in that space that the nervous system can truly relax. If this sounds like you, comment number 1 below. And if you've ever been misunderstood just because you like staying home, share a line or two so you know you're not alone. Many studies suggest that people who enjoy being alone often have higher creative potential, not because they're more talented, but because they have space to think deeply. When the mind isn't constantly interrupted by noise and distractions, it can connect more complex ideas. Staying home doesn't mean doing nothing. It's when the brain processes, reflects, and creates something new. Many great ideas aren't born in loud, crowded places. They emerge in quiet moments when you're truly alone with your thoughts. The problem is that modern society celebrates the complete opposite. Social media is flooded with images of parties, gatherings, and living your best life. Everyone is expected to be busy, to go out, to have an exciting social life in order to be seen as living properly. And when you choose to stay home, you're treated as if you're missing out on something huge. But the real question is, who defines what a best life is? If your happiness looks like a documentary film, a bowl of hot soup, and an evening with no obligations, is that really sad? Or does it simply not fit the mold society has imposed? Many people don't stay home because they want to, but because they're afraid of being judged if they do. And many people go out not because they enjoy it, but because they're afraid of being seen as left behind. Loving staying home isn't rejecting life. It's refusing to chase a version of life that was never meant for you. That said, one thing needs to be clear. Not all staying home is healthy. Some people stay home because it helps them recover, but others do so because social anxiety, past trauma, or depression make stepping outside feel overwhelming. In those cases, home becomes both a refuge and an invisible cage. So the real question isn't, do you stay home? But, does staying home make you feel better, or does it make you shrink a little more each day? People who genuinely love staying home don't feel like they're missing out on life. They find joy in small rituals others often overlook. A morning cup of coffee, a familiar chair, sunlight filling the room in the late afternoon. They don't need much external stimulation because their inner world is already rich. Psychology calls this a low stimulation preference, the tendency to feel comfortable with minimal input. For them, quiet isn't emptiness, it's fullness. On invitations without guilt, if you feel genuinely happy spending a day alone at home, you're not broken. You're not out of place. You're simply wired to live more deeply rather than more loudly. The world needs people who move outward, but it also needs those who know how to turn inward. Both are equally valuable. What matters most is that you understand yourself instead of forcing yourself to live by someone else's rhythm.